Hey everybody, welcome to Questionable Lock. My name is Taylor Saul,
Carson Marsh.
Sebastian Atashi.
and we had a pretty solid weekend, honestly. I think, right? We all had dubs.
Yeah.
Sebastian was
First
Sebastian
game.
was kind of upset because he hasn't really been following all of our bets, even though we really know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we make people money, so
Yeah.
that needs to start doing that for sure.
I think our first game was Patriots Rams. Rams dominant in that one, looked good. One of the weeks where they just look good and get the dub. I think the line was Rams plus or -4, something like that, 3.5.
So, yeah, it started at -7.5 and it went all the way down to -4.5.
But yeah, CJ, what did you see in that game? Anything like, obviously the Patriots aren't a great team, but another win for the Rams. Maybe they're building a little bit of consistency.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually interesting to see because obviously the Patriots were coming off of like two straight wins and that 45-0 win over the Chargers. So I was really thinking that this was going to be a low-scoring game. I hit the under. Oh, sorry, I actually hit the over.
Yeah, we did hit the over. Huh?
Yeah, the over-under was low. I think it was at like 42 or 44. And the game ended up being 28-3. I did hit Cam Newton over a half interception. He threw it like in the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
so
right off the show, pretty much.
This game was the end for the Patriots too, with regards to playoffs, right? Like this, they're not going to playoffs.
Still technically in the hunt.
Yeah, but they're out. They're out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The AFC playoff picture, I feel like, is kind of taking shape right now. My Dolphins have moved to 8. Raiders are mostly out of it. And it looks like the Ravens are kind of they're tied right now for the 8th spot. So it'll probably come down to the last 3 or 4 games that we have left on the season. But yeah, like you were saying, Patriots didn't look so great. Belichick came out after the game, said he was sticking with Cam. I don't think Cam will be back next season. I'm interested to see what you guys think regarding that. Like, do you guys think Cam will be back?
It's hard because I was obviously a big Cam guy, but he really can't. He can't throw the ball right now. I don't think it's obviously hasn't worked out. It might be a little bit. It's an adjustment for Bill Belichick to have a mobile quarterback. He's not as mobile as he used to be, but someone that could still run the ball. And I don't. It hasn't worked out as well as they would have hoped. But there's also been some good performances, like you said, 45-0 against the Chargers. A couple other big wins, but Cam Newton, Bill, it doesn't seem like that combo is working out this year.
Yeah,
but,
I would. Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think he has a lot of potential. I just think the chemistry of this team and maybe I don't even know, maybe just the time. I don't know. I think he has the potential to be a great quarterback. I just don't know if this is the team for him necessarily, and this is the offense for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we want to see Cam back on top.
Yeah, for sure.
We would love that, but I think the reality of the situation is look, he went from an MVP to being cut by his team 2 or 3 years later, and media made it this whole storm about how is this former MVP not being signed. And the thing is, it's like he can't throw the ball more than 15 yards. And no hate to Cam. The Patriots, they have minimal receivers like N'Keal Harry. Some of these guys just haven't panned out, which begets the question is Patriots right now, I think, are 6-7 right now. A lot of their players at the early beginning of the season, a lot of their key defensive players opted out for COVID purposes. Do you guys think that this was a bust season for the Patriots, or do you think they should have taken the time to tank for maybe one of the top 3 quarterbacks in Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I think that, you lose probably the greatest quarterback ever. Been there.
No. The GOAT. Let's say 6 rings, the GOAT.
That's fair. The 6 rings. My favorite quarterback, Peyton Manning, but
good guy.
Tom Brady. And, they build that system for so many years, years. Obviously, he leaves, and it's going to take time, to get used to. And questioning whether they should tank or not, I think it'd be really hard for them to just lose Tom Brady and then be like, yeah, this year we don't have Tom. We're going to tank. Bill Belichick.
Right.
Super, extremely winningest.
Best coach of all time.
Best coach of all time. You don't see those type of coaches tanking. They bring in a guy like Cam Newton who has that, used to have that superstar ability, and it hasn't worked out for them. But, like we said, they're not out of the playoff picture yet, technically. But they'll probably end the season somewhere around 8-8, and that's never a good place to be for a team really going into the draft, especially when you –
Trust me, I know. Dolphins were 8-8.
Especially when you have as bad of performances as they did in some of these games. And you're like, man, why didn't we just go 4-12? But
Yeah.
it's tough. It's definitely not a tanking culture type of place, but we'll see. We'll see what Bill Belichick even wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality of it is that this offense was built around a completely different quarterback, a completely different player, and for another quarterback to just jump in and be able to like rise to the occasion, basically, like you're trying to use a player, like you're trying to use their past quarterback strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like, those aren't his strengths. And it's just like, I think this is a transition year. I think they're going to start trying to figure out like what is going to work for them going forward rather than what has worked for them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so if like you said, it's a transition year, trying to figure it out. Taylor's gone. But if this is a transition year and you have a winning if you have a winning coach like Bill Belichick, and, a lot was made that, Brady wanted to go win, blah, blah, blah. Do you think Belichick has the right to go win somewhere else? And do you think he would, given that he has so much power in the Patriots, given that he's been with the Patriots for 21 years, winning as football coach in Patriots history, do you think he retires soon, or do you think he moves on to a different organization if he doesn't want to stick with this whole transitional process of perhaps not winning the AFC East every year?
Yeah. I'm definitely in the camp that he's leaning towards the retiring soon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know the guy, but it does not look like, he has the best of times. We've seen like him and Nick Saban talk about how much they love football, and that was super cool, and how geared their minds are for it. But when you're at a place like that, it's almost like Greg Popovich. Like, realistically, are we going to see Greg Popovich leave the Spurs to go coach somewhere else? Not really. Maybe, he'll retire soon, but probably not. They built, especially, the way the Patriots, like the Belichick system, the way they play, the Patriots, everything. He means everything to them. And I don't think they would want to see him on another team, just like they don't want to see Tom Brady on another team. But
yeah,
I don't know Bill's personal life or his family, which I feel like when you're getting to, towards that retirement age, that definitely has an impact if he wants to spend time with his family, stuff like that. But I wouldn't see him leaving the Patriots for another team.
I would have to agree completely. I mean, he's dedicated like, what would you say, 20 plus years to this team? Like I would definitely lean towards retirement on this one.
Yeah. Well, he's always been a cold weather guy. Maybe he wants to retire in the sun. Let's start the hashtag. Hopefully right here. Hashtag Belichick to SC. Let's make it happen. Kelly to SC. Popovich to Galen. Let's start right now. Let's get it right now in this show. Belichick to SC. We would love to see it. And it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. Like,
I was honestly thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say it. I didn't know if that was too extreme.
Never.
It makes perfect sense if you
imagine him dealing with like college students.
Yeah.
It's not. He would not. Not have that.
That's kind of what they need, though. These college students need to be put into check. You guys want to play in the big leagues, you got to act like it.
Cincinnati versus SC in the playoff, and we're on to Cincinnati. Yeah, we're on to UCLA. Imagine Belichick versus Chip Kelly in the Pac-12. Oh, that can't happen. But whenever we play every year in the Pac-12 South or whatever.
UCLA got an old NFL coach, and it didn't work out for them, really.
Well, that actually brings us to the next game, UCLA, USC, a game of the ages, a game where Humpty Dumpty, or otherwise known as Chip, doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. Kelly he loses in the last 21 seconds on a little
easy
TD. Took me on to cover the spread. Not even Clay Helton does not cover spreads. Clay Helton covered the spread. Hashtag Clay covered the spread. And
I saw that hashtag.
I saw that hashtag too.
I think for the first time in my life, I'm bringing out the hashtag extend Clay. Just joke. But still, hashtag maybe we won't fire him again after this year. But look, this team has excelled in the last minute of 3 different games, and it just shows you how much talent we have. And to be honest, this is the first time I will have to compliment the coaching. You're down, I think, 18 and a half. And the guys came back against a UCLA team who's actually playing well this year, who has a former NFL coach. Clay Helton actually outcoached a coach. He actually outcoached the coach.
Big time.
It's amazing.
It's crazy to me, man. Everyone on every single USC tweet after every win this season fire Clay. He's got to go. He still has to go. He still has to go. Like, are y'all in agreement with? I mean, are like CJ? Do you agree with that? Even after this win,
I mean,
it's hard for me to really know because I just see them winning. I don't know how well you guys, obviously you guys are super talented, but I don't know how well you should be playing, which is what all these people seem to think in the comments, that you guys need to be Alabama, basically. And that's why they don't like Clay.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at a macro level of Clay Helton's whole run at SC, I do think he needs to be gone, but it is hard because you have recency bias. I mean, the way this season has come out and the way that we're not still in the top 10 somehow blows my mind. But we've had a really good season. I obviously don't lace my cleats up every week and have my pads on. I also don't have a kid who's going to SC where I'm trusting one dude to be a leading role model for my son or something like that. So if the question is, do I think Clay is a good leader, a good guy, then yeah, of course I do. Do I think he's a good coach? I mean, I don't think he's a great coach necessarily. I also don't think he's a great recruiter, just given how bad our class was 2 years ago. We're getting a little better. I would be interested to hear Taylor's perspective if she wants to offer it, given the situation. If you want, if not, we can just listen to me ramble on. But I am still, unfortunately, on the Fire Clay train. That being said, I commend him for his service, and this was a fantastic and fun year.
Hey, it'd be a great way to go out 6-1 with a loss in the playoff.
Yeah, it's hard. He's a good guy. He seems like a great guy.
Very nice guy.
I'll probably stick to the no comment on this one just for now, okay. But I will answer your question with a question instead, and just ask what you guys think about USC going to the playoffs, not going to the playoffs, question mark?
Well, so
you tried to get blown out?
If Sab, if you want to launch on this one, I got a lot to say. So giving you the pleasure of going.
If you guys are undefeated, I have no problem with sending you to that playoff. But if you are the 4 and you play Alabama.
Okay, because that's kind of where I'm going. Okay, so look at the 4 teams in the playoff right now. It's Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State.
Uh-huh.
There's one team in there we can beat, and hopefully it's not delusion, but I actually do think SC could beat Notre Dame because every year we play each other well, and it's a rivalry game.
Yeah, it's like
that being said, I think we would get destroyed by every other team. By Clemson, we would get destroyed. By Alabama, we would get destroyed. And Ohio State, we would get destroyed. Just because those teams are so far ahead. Notre Dame also is having a fantastic year, but I think that we would play UNC well. I don't necessarily know if we would win after they put up 60 against Miami, but I think we would play well. It'd be a one-possession game. I also think Notre Dame would be a low-scoring one-possession game. Don't know if we would necessarily win. Brian Kelly's a great coach. So I don't know if we would get out-coached necessarily in that game, but SC does play kind of bad teams close, and they kind of do play to the level of competition. Like, for some reason, we destroy Utah, but we almost lose to Arizona State. I don't think they deserve to be in the playoff necessarily because there's other undefeated teams that if we matched up against, I think we would win. But I think like Cincinnati's undefeated. A couple of years ago, UCF claimed the national championship. I do think the playoff needs to be expanded 100%. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And there's also word that the Rose Bowl, a lot of the SEC and the Big Ten, they don't want to play in the Rose Bowl. Big easy fix. You let us play Oregon in the Rose Bowl Friday, and then you take whatever bowl that we would have, the Fiesta Bowl or something, and then you add it to the playoff. If it's that big of a deal with the COVID and stuff. So, because Rose Bowl, for people who don't know, Rose Bowl is a playing game. That being said, we do not deserve to be in the playoff. We do deserve to be in the top 10. And I would love to see us in the Rose Bowl where we belong, or somewhere else, Fiesta Bowl, where the New Year's Six. We'll be in the New Year's Six, I think.
But I think that's totally fair. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
what if you lose? What if you lose to Oregon, though?
Well, I don't think that would be the case.
It's kind of unfair, honestly. Washington should just forfeit, right?
No. I think this game needs to be played. I actually think that this will be a good indicator of my opinion of Clay, because I do have I have a negative opinion of Clay in the sense of football and where we should be, but every USC fan is going to want like our program to be Alabama. We're not there yet. I think we are in an upward trajectory, but that also that trajectory, kind of a hard word to say a minute ago, but that we need to beat Oregon in this game to show recruits who is the future of the Pac-12, because Oregon has been the face of the Pac for like the last 10 years almost, minus like 1 or 2 years with Darnold. I don't know if I'm cutting out, but I think that we need to beat them for recruiting purposes. And if we lose, then I'll 100% be out by Clay. But it's hard because, you know, we've had a really fun season. So recency bias goes in Clay's favor right now.
Yeah. 5-0.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. We would have blown out Boulder too. I don't want to hear any Boulder people say no. We would have.
I agree. I mean, they lost to Utah, didn't they?
Yeah, we would have blown.
Also, Arizona 70-7. My God.
Yeah, true.
God.
But
yeah.
What? And the other game I think we talked about last week was
Arizona State, who blew out versus SDSU, but in basketball for this one. SDSU went in there, played super well, got the dub, and I would just like to say that Jordan Shackle is the baddest motherfucker in the nation. March Madness Player of the Week, Mountain West Player of the Week, 25 points on the road against a ranked team. Couldn't guard him. I was so happy, and I got my money. So I ended up taking the spread at first. Right before the game, doubled down and took the money line also. ASU, you know, in terms of Pac-12 basketball, you know, it's the same ASU BS. Like, everyone can ISO, but they cannot do it as a team. I haven't, you know, with USC, we were talking about USC basketball a little bit earlier. They got some guys. Obviously, they have some recruits, but I think their 3 next games just got postponed because a couple people tested positive. But Pac-12 looking pretty wide open again. Honestly, USC's been, you know, they find a way to do well. Andy Enfield, I have my qualms with him as a coach personally.
Good recruiter, I'll say that.
He's a great recruiter, yeah. But you know, when I've watched a lot of USC basketball because my sister really likes it, and if he just made some adjustments, you guys, like, you know, a couple years ago, Benny Boatwright could have been Elite 8, Final Four team. Didn't make adjustments. That's how it goes. But we hit on that one. SDSU gets us some more money. Jordan gets us some more money. So we're very happy.
It's funny you mentioned that, and I'm not gonna hijack this show to make it a USC show, but I feel like also Coach Andy's got this 1 year to really prove. I think his job is safe in terms of recruiting. But I don't know if you've seen Evan Mobley play, but the dude looks like a professional basketball player. Yeah, and he plays like a professional basketball player. So if you can't get – I know we were going to go in the tournament last year before COVID hit, but I assume we will this year. But if you're not going to go far in the tournament, then I do think that people need to start reevaluating who this coach will be in the future. I've had friends who have played for the team who have personal let's just say they have trouble with Coach Enfield, but they don't whatever. We don't dwell on that. But I don't know if necessarily he is the best coach, but we shall see, because Evan Mobley is a freaking beast. Like a top
2. He's top 2 pick, top 3 pick next year.
100%. He's got incredible length. He's got incredible poise.
Super long.
Exactly. And he can just glide in, silky finger roll finish right on.
That's what Andy Enfield does well, is he recruits his older brother, who isn't as good, I used to play against him.
Well, so the assistant coach is the most.
And I was about to say, and they get these, like, they know what they're doing. It's how it works.
So,
everybody gets paid. We're not being naive.
Yeah. So it's kind of an opposite sense of, like, I have a problem with Helton because of the recruiting. Well, kind of hard comparison. Sometimes the coaching, but Enfield's a great recruiter, and then he's kind of a bad coach.
Yeah, he's got to figure it out.
We'll see. But there's some great games this week. Last night there was the Browns-Ravens. I did the first 2-minute warning is up on YouTube, so go check that out. I was completely wrong. I said -2.5. It was +2.5. I took +3. They were covering, and then with 2 seconds left, one of the worst beats of the century, when T. Higgins, who already had a terrible game, dropping 2 fumbles, threw the ball into the end zone for a safety.
was not a good lateral, like
to the dismay of millions of bettors, or hopefully millions of bettors who unfortunately did not cover. The game was 47-42. Lamar Jackson had a Paul Pierce moment. He left with cramps, probably taking a, number 2, probably taking a shit. He came back. He looked 100% lighter. So we're starting at 2, hashtag poopy pants Lamar. And I just think that I was wrong. I thought Myles Garrett, who left the game early, was going to be more of a force. Yeah, I think they had 4 sacks on Lamar, but Lamar was doing last year Lamar stuff, which I did not think was a thing anymore. Is he was just running around the field. He got a little, 3 rushing TDs. He throws the ball, it hits the thing, comes back at him. He caught more passes than Hollywood Brown in that one moment alone. So,
yeah, he kept dropping. He had 3 drops until the touchdown, I think.
Yeah. So, Seb, question for you, because I know you were high up on some of the NFL guys back in the day. Do you think that Ravens fans should be upset with their team for taking Hollywood Brown, Lamar's close friend, we should say? Got a report already. They took him over DK and AJ Brown, I believe. What do you think there?
Obviously hindsight is 20/20, and you look at the physical comparisons and you're like, oh, DK, AJ Brown, and they're both unbelievable receivers. AJ Brown has been ridiculous the last couple of weeks, but it worked out really well in the first year for them with Hollywood Brown, having that speed, and we see how well it works out for a guy like Mahomes, who can obviously throw the ball better than Lamar Jackson, but having that big play threat, I think is super essential. Now, I don't think that he is necessarily your number 1 guy. I think they do need, a Mark Andrews, how consistent Mark Andrews is at the tight end spot. But with the wide receiver, maybe a bigger guy, Lamar has kind of a safety blanket. But, we see what happens with Hollywood Brown last night with that touchdown catch, and he's gone. But, I don't expect him to drop 3 or 4 passes every game, even if it's been happening a little more than he likes. He's still a great player, and he still has that superstar, capability. So
yeah, I mean, I agree from the sense that, look, you got Lamar's buddy, and Lamar's the face of the franchise. Reestablished that last night. He's basically the team. I mean, the defense did play very well last night. Marlon Humphreys had a couple of really good pass defenses. Just pivoting over to Baker. Baker had he had a good game, I guess. He was kind of off on a couple of long balls early on.
They were hitting
a lot of bad reception. And it kind of brings me to this question where every week it's like, okay, Baker's the franchise quarterback. He hadn't thrown a pick in 23 straight quarters. Yesterday throws a pick in the first or second quarter. And then it makes you think, you're like, is this really the guy? Nick Chubb, though, had a great game. Do you think that Baker is really all that with a dude like Nick Chubb in the backfield, Kareem Hunt, and a bunch of weapons?
Well, we both obviously aren't super high on Baker as a quarterback, and I think last night kind of showed what he can be really good at, but also some of his limitations. I still think he was through 20 or so incomplete passes, but where they really got going was that Tom Brady style of those slants and those quick curls and those the short little routes where they keep the ball moving. I think he's not a terrible decision maker. The interception, like you said, was bad, but the way they were going no huddle, it seemed like that was more comfortable for him, finding guys quickly. And they kept targeting that one dude on the Ravens. It's not going to be like that every week. They're not going to have, that sort of mismatch. But he got it done last night for the it wasn't his fault, obviously, that defense couldn't hold the Ravens with a minute left, to go 60 yards. But he showed that he can win. He can put him in good spots. And I was definitely, I'm not the biggest Baker fan, but I earned a little more respect after last night. I thought he did a good job, especially in the second half.
Yeah, I have to completely agree. I mean, I think that he kind of showed that going up against a team like the Ravens, with how much of, a rookie he is in this league and stuff, I think that kind of showed everyone that, okay, he can definitely compete and he is here to win, and hopefully him and his offense and the defense and stuff can get on the same page for next season and for the games to come, obviously. But that was a tough game, obviously, to go against. And I don't know. I think that was a much bigger statement than people like thought that was going to be. You know, like that he can compete at this level and he can do it well.
Yeah. I think that's it for our weekend recap.
Yeah, I think CJ, Carson, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What?
Oh, I thought you were frozen. But yeah, I think that's it for us.
I was so poised. So poised. But yeah, we have a show Thursday. Thanks for watching. Check out the website, YouTube, all that stuff.
That was cool.
Yes, we'll see you Thursday. Thank you.